So you are taught to be poor. Like this is something that you're taught. It's not your fault. It's not something that you did, but it's something that you were taught. And it's the media that is one of the facets that does this. And mainstream media actually feeds the victim poverty ideals. So mainstream media feeds victim poverty ideals, meaning that the victim of being poor, like I'm stuck in this place, this is who I am, this is who I'll always be, feeds this idea of being poor. It actually keeps you stuck there. Its goal is to not have you rich, its goal is to make money. So think of media. Say you owned media, right? You own this television network or a magazine or some channel on YouTube. What would be the thing that would be your motivation? It's money, isn't it? Like media's motivation is money. News's motivation is money. It's what keeps the thing running. It's what keeps the thing alive. And so if you're not clear on what's feeding you is the very thing that maybe you're wanting, it's actually designed to keep you stuck in. Because people don't like to hear that what they're doing doesn't work. People don't like to hear that maybe who they are isn't enough or that it could be a better way. It's so much easier just to validate the one sitting in the couch, the one that's watching, and to say, oh, yeah, you are a victim. And look at all these things and people and acts that are keeping you where you're stuck. You're going to start going, oh, yeah, that feels good. They're making me feel good about who I am. Why are they doing that? To keep you on their station, to keep you in their channel, to keep you on their feed, to have you continue to subscribe. It's about them making money. They're literally validating the opposite thing that they're very clear on creating for themselves. Media fed beliefs may not be true, but it is important to consider the audience and who the audience is and why they would use certain material or themes to keep your attention. Media is not ethical. In fact, there are conversations right now going on about ethics in media and like how do we manage this thing? The main thing it competes for is your attention. And it will do whatever it can to keep it. Look at the transformation of media. Look at YouTube. Go next time to YouTube and just look at how they starve to keep your attention on YouTube. Right, rather than going to some other video feed place. They to the degree that even after you're done watching your video, they'll auto replay the next one even though you haven't clicked it. And then when they do that, guess what everyone else starts doing? They keep feeding the very theme that you're searching, and it's all about attention. It's about keeping you right where you are so that they can get what their goal is. Their intention is really clear, and it's to keep your attention. And the more attention they can keep you here, the more money and revenue they generate. Well, what if you could have that intention? What if you could be the one in the driver's seat and you could really start to see that how you act and be around certain situations has money attract towards you? And media might be one of the things that you get to start filtering. You get to start running a filter through it so that money starts showing up in a way that it hasn't. Hard work pays. So the middle and lower class believe that hard work is the answer, as if years of 80-hour work weeks would like somehow create wealth. Like I've got guys that work for us and guys that I work with and associates and friends that just like scrape their like work to the bone, right? It's about the overtime. It's about putting in double work or working two full-time jobs, and that's somehow how I would get rich. There's no question that wealth and hard work are often associated. However, they are not directly correlated. Wealth often comes from the acquisition of working on self. So I would say that wealth comes from working on you, not working on the thing. It's like if you could afford to spend $100,000 on you, like maybe you'd go out and get a life coach, and there are people that do this. I work with a lot of people that do this. they'll literally spend $100,000 a year with a life coach or with like a performance coach to really get them tuned in. We'll spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes even up to $1 million over 30 years on a house, when really we could have spent a large sum of money in a short window of time to accelerate the overall picture of wealth that would show up for us. It's not about working at your job that gets you wealth. It's not about putting in the overtime. If there was any investment I would say would be of most value, it'd be the one you invest in yourself. The time you spend with self. The time you spend on refining self. The most valuable work the wealthy focus on is their way of being, not hours of doing the same thing to get a dollar. Rich people are greedy. I love this. The 1% must and control most of the money. Well, they do. It's like you can look up these statistics and it's like the 1% control X amount of money. It's like, yeah, got that. There are individuals responsible with that amount, and that is why they have it and keep it. It's because they're responsible with it. So as I redid this, one of the things that I heard is like lotto winners. So look at lotto winners. Do they have the necessary skills and way of being around money? Like, is that possible? And you'll find that like over 90%, in fact, they've made movies about this. They just can't keep it. They don't have the skill and the way of being around money to keep it. In fact, they end up losing it all, and they have a lifestyle worse than when they started before they won the lotto. Some people refer to it as like a curse, and it has nothing to do with the curse. It has to do with literally your way of being. It'd be fascinating if you could like run a test that like showed how much money could you be responsible for, and you'd probably find people all over the board. And what you might discover is the exact amount of money you have is the amount that your way of being could be responsible with. And that's why you have the exact dollar amount that you have in your bank account, the exact things that you have in your garage and in your house, is because that is the exact amount that you could be responsible with. Anything more, you would find a way to sabotage. Nearly all TV shows and movies vilify the rich. So this idea of around greed, this belief thing that kind of keeps us stuck and moving or not moving into like a higher way of being around money, is we vilify the rich. And this is a hoax to keep you right where you are. It's like it's going to keep you right in that area, content with the results that you have. Why would you learn to be someone who would be responsible with that kind of money if you thought you would be a villain by doing so? Like, look at the cartoons and the TV shows and the movies we watch. It's like we make people with money villains. They're the bad guy. Okay, now just take a moment. We talked about this previously. Think about why the people writing the scripts, writing the movies and the TV shows, why would they do that? Is it because it's true? Or is it because only 1% of people who have money, if they were targeting that audience to watch this movie, they wouldn't make any money? So you'd find the intention around media, TV shows, movies, you'd find that they are actually really in tune with this. They get that, like, they really get their audience. And they get, if they can buy in and help buy into your victimhood around not having it and vilifying that one, it really makes you, in a way, feel satisfied and content with the lifestyle that you have. The rich have no family or friends. This is like a crazy idea, and I really I've dove into this. Here's another belief media teaches about the rich, that somehow when you acquire money, you will lose everything that matters. Guys, I see people that don't have money that lose family and friends all the time. All the time. It's like maybe the inverse. You could almost say the inverse is true. You might find it valuable to consider that that like the friends are based on your own success. Like this idea of like I love this photo of like, you're high-fiving, the people that are around you that are successful. Like the people that show up in my life that are there to support me are really a stand for my own success, and I must stand for theirs. And it's like, what other kind of friend would you want? Like, would you want a friend who vilifies your activity in a way, or makes you feel shameful about your successes, or because they're not having them, they want to keep you down with them. They want to keep you in that misery and that pain and that suffering. Because for you to have something great would mean something to them, that it wouldn't be praiseworthy for you to have success. Real friends promote one another's success. They know by them succeeding, others around them would also reap the benefits of this. It's the idea of abundance. Taxes. This is a fun one. And I've got some of my own fun spins on this, but many people believe they should not work harder because they're going to have to pay a higher marginal tax rate. As usual, this is just another excuse. So this idea that like it's just what people say. Oh, if I make more money, I'll have to pay more in taxes. It's like, and like that's not a bad thing. It doesn't mean you're not going to make more money. If you make 200,000 and you're taxed at 30%, and then make 400,000 and taxed at 45 or 35, the increase in tax doesn't mean that you still don't take home a lot more money. Also, this is the fun one. If this like isn't incentive enough, and a lot of you guys know this because you're running your own businesses, start your own business and see all the write-offs that help with your overall tax burden. It might be worth a Google to search tax benefits of owning your own business, and you might start to see some angles in this thing that it really makes sense to be your own business owner and to really have wealth in your life. Your work will be your life, like somehow it's your ball and chain. The effort required to earn money is significantly higher than any other activity, and having no life is a myth once it gets going. So like this idea of like I won't have a life because I'm so invested is it's like a myth. It's like it's not even a reasonable statement that like somehow if that became my focus then I would have nothing. I would be trapped. Some think you have to find the thing you love to create wealth. I've heard so many myths, so many crazy ideas. It's like, well, just find your passion and then you can, you'll be in love with what you do and you'll have wealth. Well, yeah, it does work that way in a way, but I think the way we're hearing it is backwards. Once you hit your stride, you will find you love what you do because of what it provides. You have more free time because of your wealth, but you want to work because it rewards you. Your work is now a very positive part of your life. There was a time, even in this business, guys, where I hit this wall, where I was like, I'm done. Like, I don't get why I'm doing this. I'm tired of it. Like, I can't explain it other than I just really lost or somehow forgot who Matt was. And the passion around work just, it died. And it's interesting because I wasn't doing anything different, right? It wasn't that the work I was doing had changed. It was the same activities. It required the same things in a way, right? Like doing webinars like this. But it was like 2 or 3 years ago, it just, something happened where I was like, I did not love what I was doing. And I remember really diving in and doing some things and going to some trainings and really like digging, like what is going on with me? Because this doesn't make any sense. How could you love something and then like literally just despise it and hate it later? And I had this idea in my head that like it must be possible that I could love it again, like really get my passion about it again. And I went searching for that instead of searching for the thing. Like, well, maybe if I became like a marine biologist, that would make me happy. Or maybe if I became an insurance agent or I worked with animals or I helped people in the hospitals. Like, rather than making it about that, I got that there had to have been something in my head that was creating this belief. That maybe it had nothing to do with what I was doing, had everything to do with what I was making it about. It was how I was showing up in it. It was like, it wasn't that I didn't love what I was doing is I wasn't loving the one who was showing up in what I was doing. And when I got free of that, I can't, in this, I could do a whole training on this story. But when I got free around this thing and I woke up to, oh, I'm just a person of passion, that's just who I am. And I got really clear of the things that were getting in the way of me showing up that way. And then I could show up anywhere with passion and I could love anything that I was doing. That's when power showed up for me. That's when I literally had this major shift as a person of power. That it wasn't about the thing, it was about my way of being in the thing. And I love what I do now. And the passion is back, and I'm hungry, and it's like, and I'm so clear that that would go and transcend and shift and move anywhere I went, doing anything. I would just bring that with me, and I'd love what I do. So it's not about the thing that you're doing, it's about your way of being around the thing. It is against your religion. I love this. So you've probably heard this already, the seven deadly sins. I want to talk about them directly associated with money and my spin to like start undoing and untangling the belief around these. That's all they are, is beliefs or ideas that we associate money with that we might think are sinful. And one of them is lust. And when I heard this, I immediately thought of some books that I've been reading that directly talk about the idea of lust. But some of the most wealthiest men and women in the world will tell you that transforming their sexual desires towards work and money is powerful. In fact, if you guys haven't read Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, I would challenge you to go read it, because there's a entire chapter on this topic. I think it's called sexual transmutation. And it's like not this weird magical mystical thing that happens, it's just really real, that like we're all born with this creative power, right? And you could say that lust like falls into that category in that like area. But the creative power also is how we make money. It's like the how would you like have money? Oh, you'd have to create it. Like how would you have a business? Well, you'd have to create it. How would you have like these ideas? Oh, you'd have, right? It's all the creation process. It's all in that vein. And if you got that maybe lust was just a misdirection of creation, that it could be channeled into really powerful ways that you could be aware of and you could control. And there are books and videos, and I mean just go online sometime and look, just do some searching on this, because it's really powerful to get the idea of the topic, that it could work for you, that this idea of lust isn't a sin, it's just a misdirection or a missing of the target, trying to hit something that we put it towards things that aren't productive and destroy our lives. Gluttony. You can avoid gluttony by affording the best foods. Like, if really, I mean, like the best foods are like, it really makes gluttony hard, makes it difficult. You can hire personal trainers, you can hire fitness coaches, you can get on these like, and it doesn't even require a lot of money to do this now. But there are apps that you can get on that track like your health. I use these fitness apps for working out that are really motivating and positive, and they really keep you on track with like your personal well-being. And so money isn't going to work against that, guys. It's going to support it. It's going to support not being gluttonous. Greed. You can completely avoid greed by building a business and a career that helps people. Greed, it's interesting actually. You'll find that those who are affected most by greed, and this is just a belief. It's just like where I, throw my tie over my shoulder and I kind of go, hey, okay, this is the belief of Matt. But I find that greed exists in the lower and middle classes the most, and that's what has them stuck in it. That when I'm like always holding and hoarding and keeping and trying to consume, and I think that's what it's all about, that I actually have a difficult time creating it because I'm afraid to give it away. I have all these things that keep me from spending and sharing and helping others because really that's how you get what you want is by helping other people get what they want. Laziness. You will factually avoid laziness assuming that you are not a trust fund baby. I mean, it's kind of a given. Like how could like if you're about making money, you're about like obtaining riches and having wealth in your life, laziness just isn't going to be there unless you're born into it like a trust fund baby, right? And that's more of a joke than anything. Wrath or anger. You won't suffer from wrath or anger since your finances will make you stable on an emotional basis. And like if you find that you experience wrath or anger in a way that you don't like, or that you want to shift or you want to change, I know it sounds crazy, but money's there to help fix that too. Like there are professionals and people out there that work with people around their ways of being. And maybe anger management's one of the ones that you want to work on because it's again, you want to invest in your way of being. Well, guess what that's going to take? It's going to take money. It's going to take having money to have people who get it and have experienced it and are experts in that space that would help you. That would help you have that. Envy. Envy will be avoided. Instead, you will cheer when others make it financially and hope for their success as you did yours. Those who make it, those who have wealth, they literally applaud other people's successes in it. Have you found, and I grew up very like poor. Like there were times that like food was even an issue in my family. And I remember the conversations that we used to have with our friends and the people in our home. And envy was constantly something that occurred living in the lower class. It was like someone broke out, right, and had their success. And it's like we couldn't be happy for that person. It was just crazy. It was this thing that like we would like really get envious of the person who broke out. So it's like you could just throw that idea of this sin, this thing that like would be evil completely out the window because having money would require a shift in your way of being that you would cheer other people on when they had success. You'd be like high five, good job, man. That was a breakthrough for you. That was amazing. I wish you the best because I know that being around people like that will elevate like where I'm at. Like it would be the tide that rises all boats in a way. Pride. Pride would be taken down immediately. For the person with experience of obtaining wealth, they know if they believe that their way is best or can't be beat, they will eventually fall behind. If you're not the one innovating it, if you're not the one creating it, guess who will? Your competition. And that's in the business world. In the wealth world, it's like your way of being, right? Look at athletes, look at actors, actresses. Like this thing is constantly evolving and you could say improving, I guess, or the level at which people are performing at is higher. And that's because all the technology and the skills are more readily available to set the bar higher. And if you're not constantly reaching for that, you're gonna you, it's not fall behind, but in a way you're gonna get beat out. So pride can't exist to have wealth. I know that from experience. People confuse pride with confidence. That is a very common misconception with the lower and middle class that they see those who have wealth as prideful. And I would challenge that what you're seeing is confidence. That they're very confident in their way of being, and there's really nothing you could say or do to shake them. But they are always open to criticism. They are always open to looking at themselves. They're always looking at how can I improve? And yeah, I would be open to, maybe what I said or what I did there, could use some work. You will die alone. The idea is ridiculous. Like you're not going to die alone because you had money. Like look at those who die who've had money. Like look at anytime a celebrity dies, like they make the TV, their funerals are packed with millions of people. They have like 4 viewing sessions, It's like you're not going to die alone. And if you're not going to die alone, you're probably going to also not die without your family being there. Like you'll find the rich have families just like everyone else. They're not born into this world by like some other form. They're not clones brought into the world without families. So if they have families, how would they die alone? It doesn't make sense. But this also doesn't mean that you need to have a family to be rich. We're playing with these beliefs. It's just a way to see how crazy your beliefs are around money. We get to just undo this thing. All right, guys, we're wrapping up. Your beliefs about being rich. So, with everything that's been said, this is where I would have you dive in and like look at like what gets to shift, because there's no question that I've got these beliefs running. I've got something here that really hit home that's still part of my way of being that doesn't work for me. So you might consider what you're feeding yourself, if having money is something you like or wouldn't mind having more of. I'm not saying you need to go be a billionaire. I'm just saying, like, do you like money? And would it be a problem, or would you like it to show up more in your life? And if the answer is yes, you might consider what you're feeding yourself around it. We spent less than 30 minutes on this topic, undoing some of the beliefs you have around money. Now consider how many hours, days, weeks, and years you've invested in your error-like thinking around this topic. All the things we mentioned, the things we mentioned in other trainings, this constant topic we're having, think about how many hours, days, weeks, and years you've invested into the error-like thinking around money. How rooted are your beliefs around money that keep you stuck right where you are? And most importantly, what are you going to do about it? So I'm going to end on that note, guys. Thank you for being here. Take some time to invest in you, to invest in your way of being. And you might just find that this undoing around some of your beliefs about money might actually serve you to have more of it show up.